Hi guys, I'm Team TMR's Juicy Fruit, and I am here to talk to you about meal planning. When you have a child with special needs, you have a child with food allergies. In the autism community, we all treat our children as sensitive little beings when it comes to food. We pretty universally avoid gluten, dairy, soy, artificial colors, artificial flavors, preservatives like nitrates and sulfites. Across the board, that's what you'll see as a starting point. Then what will happen is your child will have an allergy test. And that's normally an IgG food panel, which will bring up sensitivities. And those sensitivities are things that cause inflammation in your child's body. So we try to remove those as well. Now, today, what I would like to talk to you about is meal planning and my concept of automating some of our children's meals to make it easier for us and to make it more routine for them. Because as special needs parents, our kids live and die by the routine. So today I'm going to talk about my son, his allergies, what automating his food looks like, and I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite recipes that I use with him. I'll warn you up front, I don't actually really ever follow a recipe. I just use a method. So I will share my methods, and I'm not real sure where it's going to go from there. I do want to say that this is going to be a regular feature here on TMR Nation TV, and I would like to invite you to send me an email with your child's food allergies and sensitivities. So, if they refuse to eat anything orange, for example, or they can't handle things that are a pureed texture, that sort of thing. Send me an email. Send it to teamtmrjuicyfruit@gmail.com. And I'll get it. I'll work up a meal plan and we'll talk about it on one of these segments. All right. First things first. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All three are tremendously important, as are snacks. I like to automate breakfast and snacks. Now, what I mean by that is my son will have one of two protein choices and one of two starch choices for his breakfast. He will always have a glass of freshly squeezed juice, which I make with carrots, celery, beets, some sort of green, often the beet green if I can't find that, kale, cucumber, and an apple. So he has that every day regardless. That's actually one of his supplements from our naturopath, is that fresh green juice. It's all organic, of course. And then we toggle between an egg dish and a sausage dish for him. Because he is allergic to quite a lot, I have to get special sausage. I get either buffalo or chicken because he can't have pork and beef. So once a week, I will make up a cookie tray full of sausage patties, bake them off, pop them in the freezer, and then am able to reheat them quickly first thing in the morning on a sausage day. On an egg day, I'll make him eggs as a short order cook, however he wants. Of late, he has been on a fried egg kick, which is fine with me. They take, 2 minutes to make. So that would be his protein, either a sausage patty or some sort of egg cooked to order. For his starch, literally the only grain my child can eat is gluten-free oatmeal. So that's a go-to for us for breakfast. I also will keep baked potatoes in the refrigerator. I fully bake a dozen or so potatoes every other weekend-ish, and then they stay in the refrigerator and can be shredded into quick cooking hash browns, or they can be sliced into fat potato chips and fried off. Dominic likes to call them potato heads, which is adorable. And there's your breakfast. One starch, one protein. If he finishes that, I'll give him a piece of fruit. I do try to limit fruit to about 2 pieces total a day because the excess sugar can trigger yeast. So that's not something that we go to every single day. So that takes care of breakfast. Now, lunches and dinners, they are interchangeable in my world. I will make 2 or 3 Dominic safe entrees on the weekend with, double or triple batches so that there's enough servings to get through the entire week. And then we will eat on those for a few days. At the magic 3-day mark, I will put the leftovers in the freezer, clearly labeled, and we will continue to eat on them. This, of course, requires that you have a way to heat up frozen food. and we all do on the stovetop if we like. I have a toaster oven, a microwave, and a stovetop to pick from. You can obviously use whatever you are most comfortable with, method-wise. Now, for dinner, those potatoes I bake off, it's between those and spaghetti squash for his filler, because he cannot have any grains of any sort, which includes rice, unfortunately. So we eat a lot of potatoes, at least he does, and those are always around. I also really like Costco's frozen Normandy vegetable mix for him. That's a mix of 2 types of carrots, cauliflower and broccoli, that's frozen, and it's a real quick heat up. You just pour some boiling water over it in a bowl, let it sit a minute or 2, drain it, pour some more boiling water over it if you don't want to deal with the stovetop. Pretty fast. I use that almost every day unless I have a raw, fresh version of something available, like homemade coleslaw or sliced cucumbers. Then for the protein. Literally, the only kinds of protein my child can eat are lamb, eggs, duck eggs, chicken, and game meat. We cannot have beef, we cannot have pork, we cannot have turkey, we cannot have seafood of any kind, we cannot have legumes of any kind, we cannot have almonds or peanuts. So it's very limited as far as the choices I have to pick from for his protein. This week, over the weekend, I made 2 Dominic safe entrees. I made something I call chicken marinara, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, and I'll give you the details on that in just a minute. And I made a loaf of lamb heroes meat, which is a gluten-free recipe that I got from a friend of mine right after Dominic's allergies came up. So I made those 2 things, and they will get us through the week. His lunches are the same as his dinners. I throw into his lunchbox for school the same thing that he had for dinner the night before, and I also throw in a baggie of potato chips, since he's actually not allergic to potatoes, and a baggie of some sort of fruit for him to have a snack at school. All right? So I've told you about my concept of automating meals, which is where you just have a series of things that you rotate through, always available to make it fast and easy and no decision. And I've told you about 1 week's worth of Dominic's meal planning. Now I'm going to tell you how I make my marinara chicken, because it's one of my go-to recipes. It's very simple. You can make it in the oven or the crock pot, or even an Instant Pot, which is my new toy I just got this summer. It's like a pressure cooker crock pot combination, and it looks like R2-D2. It's fabulous. So you can make it any number of ways. I'm pretty sure if you wanted to, you can make it in the microwave, but I don't do that. So, marinara chicken. First, your marinara. If you buy store-bought marinara, please read the label. Make sure you don't have any foods in there that your child cannot eat. Interestingly, if you look at the lower shelf at the grocery store of the marinaras, those are the ones that tend to not have the sugar in them, which is kind of an interesting twist if sugar is an issue for you. If you choose to make your own, my favorite way to do it is with the tomatoes that I grow in my own garden, because I always have a plethora of them in the summer. I will bring them in, quarter them, toss them with olive oil, basil, oregano, salt, pepper, you know, your basic Italian seasonings. You could even just take a generic Italian or pizza seasoning mix, as long as it doesn't have MSG in it, and toss that with some olive oil on your tomatoes. I also throw in 1 onion, and unfortunately I had to take garlic away this year because Dominic is allergic to garlic now, but normally I would add garlic. So I put all of that on a cookie sheet. I stick it in my oven at 250 for 6 hours. I stir it and squish it occasionally. The goal is to roast out the liquid and concentrate down the flavor. Once they look like tomato raisins on your cookie sheet, they're done, and you take them off the cookie sheet, dump them in the food processor or blender, whichever you have, and process it to the consistency that you like. If it's still too runny, stick it in a saucepan and simmer it until it thickens. That's my marinara method. Like I said, I don't really use recipes anymore, more methods than anything. So take your marinara sauce. You'll need a jar, just a quart-ish sized jar of marinara sauce, and you'll need 2 to 3 pounds of chicken. You can use any part of the chicken. I particularly am enjoying this on chicken thighs because they give Dominic a little extra fat, and he is bone rail thin, needs to gain a little bit of weight. So I like doing the thighs. I've done it on breasts. I've never tried it on a whole chicken. I've always tried it on parts. So I would recommend cutting your chicken up if you're using a whole fryer. You can either leave the skin on or off. This is not a good crunchy skin recipe, so I generally take it off. I do prefer my meat to be bone in because it gets more flavor that way, but it works just fine on boneless meat. It's very versatile. You lay your chicken in a baking dish of your choice. I don't like a cookie sheet. You want a baking dish. There will be moisture. Salt it, pepper it, talk beautiful to it, whisper sweet nothings at it, and then pour your marinara sauce on top. Pop it in the oven at 350. It'll be done in 45 minutes to an hour, depending upon the size of your chicken pieces. Then you have a beautiful entree that is safe for your child, full of flavor. You can tell them it's pizza chicken if you want to. Now, for adults who aren't on the casein-free diet, or if you are sneaking a piece of this while your child is at school, you can add mozzarella cheese to the top, pop it into the broiler, and brown that cheese until it's crispy and delicious. So that's a nice little tweak to make this recipe a little more universal. All right, so to recap, today we have talked about my concept of automating meals, why meal planning is important, because if you fail to plan, you have planned to fail. And we have talked about my favorite recipe, which is marinara chicken for my son. So with that, I would like to remind you that I would love to make a meal plan for you based around your child's preferences and needs. You can email those to me at teamtmrjuicyfruit, all one word, spelled just like it sounds, at gmail.com, and I will work something up, video it, and we'll pop it out here on TMR Nation TV. Thanks so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.